Fiber is generally only called fiber when it's a carbohydrate fiber. So these are plants. So the fibers come from plants, and anything that has is a whole plant source is going to have fiber. So whole wheat has fiber, whole rice has fiber. If it's brown rice, it has fiber. But what they do when they process things is they take the fiber out, and that's part of the problem. Is not so much that it's starchy, but that there's no more fiber in it, because there's several things that fiber does that are really important for digestion even before they get to the colon and grow the good bacteria.
Hello, welcome to the Healthy Heart webinar. Hello, YouTubers. Thank you for joining us today. You will find a link that will take you to bartonwebinar.com, where you will find a lot of information about these videos, how to register for them. You'll even see a link to past videos, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss any of these. We try to get them uploaded pretty quick, but what happens is they're live, and then we send them to our editing team, and then they make it look nice and cut out any of the things that we weren't supposed to say so that we don't get banned. I think we should just have little things that just say bleep, and that's it. I don't think we should actually cut those parts. I think people should know that we tried to say something and
there was something there.
Yes,
there was something there that's being edited.
I think it's good. I think that's good for people to know. And I don't know why.
They used to call it censorship.
They
don't call it censorship anymore.
I don't know what they call it now. Fact checking, I think, actually.
Which is just censorship.
Yes, I have lots of thoughts about that, but what do you do? Okay, so we are live on Facebook too. Awesome. All right, guys, welcome. This is the Healthy Heart webinar. Thanks for joining us today. It is the week post-Christmas, or the week of Christmas for us. And so all the days are feeling a little bit crazy and jumbled. I think half of our team is on vacation, but we're here. We are here to talk about keeping your heart healthy. We did just talk about how to keep yourself stress-free in the holidays. And so I'm curious how that worked for you guys. If you were on the last webinar, if you found some peace and some joy in what can be kind of a chaotic season. I hope that that was the case for you guys. We've really, even yesterday on our diabetes webinar, we were talking about stress. And fun fact, Dr. Saunders, on a beach, relaxing is not stress relieving for him. So, and that's true. That is true. What works for one person might not work for the next. And so just always curious to see what you guys do to relieve stress. All right, I'm going to see who's chatting with us here today. Guys, as we get going and talking, please put your questions in the Q&A. That's kind of the best place for us to manage those. Monty's back. Hello. Hey, this is your first time on the Healthy Heart webinar. Well, welcome. We're glad you're here. We know you, we just saw you yesterday, so I'm glad you made it again. David is here from Colombia. Marion from Chilliwack, British Columbia. We have Alma from Queens. I appreciate your information. Well, thank you. We appreciate you guys being here. We're excited to have you. Before we get started, otherwise I'm going to forget, let's do a quick disclaimer. Dr. Saunders, would you do a disclaimer for us?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not your doctor. So if you want to apply any of this information that we give, we give for general informational purposes, apply it to yourself carefully. Make sure it's the right thing for you. And you may need professional help, like a psychiatrist. No, like professional help to figure it out.
Oh boy. I love that someone is recording this using AI. That was probably the biggest thing that we took away from our meeting a couple of weeks ago when we were all together. Our whole team was in Florida, and we talked about all the different ways that we're going to use AI to help us. And I see that Brad is using AI to take some notes, which is a great thing to do. And if you can't be on the call, you can still use AI to take notes for you. So pretty awesome. Carol says, this is my first time too. Welcome. Ted is here from Alaska. We have John from sunny South Carolina. Awesome. I don't have sun here. How about you, Dr. Saunders?
Oh yeah, we got sun. It's great.
Lovely.
Beautiful.
Lovely. All right. Well,
Right.
I'm coming from South Dakota, guys. Ooh, it is.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, and you know what? I would show you mine, but well, actually, it is really pretty. It's white snow, but I'm using my big computer, so I can't really turn it very well. All right, who else do we have here? Donna is here. Love your webinars. You both are so awesome. John is here. Okay, saw that one. All right, guys, let's get started. So today we're going to talk about the best diet for a healthy heart. If you've been around here, you know that Dr. Saunders likes to test out some of his uh, eating ideas or lifestyle things. Typically for about a year, you do these often.
Yeah.
Do you have a
Typically,
plan for
yeah.
2024?
I now have a plan for 2024. So I've been reading a book, and I recommend everybody read it. It's called The Circadian Code by Sachin Panda. And it is it's a book about circadian rhythm, and so this time I'm not changing the types of foods I eat. This time I'm doing the timing. So the timing is according to circadian rhythm. So he clearly found in not just his research, but other research that's been done in animals and humans, that eating in the morning and shortening your window. I'm gonna work on an 8-hour window. So I'm gonna eat at 7 a.m. and my last meal is gonna be done by 3 p.m. That's the way I've chosen to do it, because that seems to work best for the circadian rhythm. And as you know, we got these wristbands, and mine is not doing so well. My HRV, heart rate variability, is really low. Not low for my age, but just like it's low. So I'm trying to raise it up. So I'm doing more exercise, and then I'm reading this circadian code. So next year it's an 8-hour window. That's my plan.
Awesome. And this isn't a new thing really for you. You've been talking a lot about, you know, being done eating early and
Yeah.
fasting at night and all of that
Yeah,
kind
but
of.
it's earlier now. I used to be 6 o'clock. Now I'm going for 3, because they showed in the studies that a 10-hour window was okay, but an 8-hour window was even better. It was significantly better. So that's what I'm going to do, and try to be consistent with it, so that my morning meal is 7 o'clock every day. And that consistency is what brings up your HRV, your circadian rhythm, and improves health. And even people who were like really sick and they didn't even change their diet, they were still eating junk food, but all they did was shorten the time that they ate and put it in an 8-hour window. They did better. They
So
improved.
have you done any more research about heart rate variability? Are you finding anything new that's surprising to you? I mean, is it something that you feel like you really do need to? I mean, you're doing this because you want to improve your HRV, but do you feel like it's something that is worrisome to you, or is it just another number and you're kind of competitive, so you want to increase it?
Just another number, and I'm kind of competitive. But no, there's something to it. But you have to look at all of these things as a portion and a part of it. A part of a big picture. So you have all these puzzle pieces that you're putting together a picture that's going to look like something, that it's going to mean something. And each part of it does have some meaning, but it's only a piece of the puzzle. And that's really important to understand, because the HRV by itself is not meaningful as an arbitrary random number. You have to take into account the big picture of how does that fit into your lifestyle? What are you doing? How much exercise are you getting? Your eating patterns, the patterns of sleep, and all of that kind of stuff. So in looking at all the bigger picture, I do need to fix my circadian rhythm. And it turns out that diet is more important than sleep, even. That people who eat on erratic schedules have erratic circadian rhythms, even if they sleep regularly. So eating is really important.
All right. I got to really think about that. I'm gonna have to do some planning, I think, for this next year. So that's good. That's good to know. Speaking of, planning for 2024, uh, I think you did spend a year doing a high fiber diet as well. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've actually done that 2 years because I added it in. I kept doing the fiber but I did at first. It was a vegan high fiber diet, and then I added in some protein and stayed on the high fiber diet. So yeah, and what's really interesting about the timing is the research is showing that the timing matters no matter what you eat. So you can have a high protein diet, a high fiber diet, a high carb diet, and it's really less important what you eat than when.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Very, very interesting. So today on the Healthy Heart webinar, we're going to share a little bit about, it's fun. I love this when Dr. Saunders does these things because he shares his research as he goes. He lets us know how he's feeling as he tries these new things. I just think it's so important. But one of the things that we have been focusing on with this Healthy Heart Solution Kit is more of a high fiber diet. And I just want to really get into that and talk about why you have found that that is beneficial for our heart health.
Okay, so it turns out fiber is really important for a lot of different reasons. Fiber is something that we don't digest. And so fiber is only found in plant foods. There are some types of non-digestible proteins, but we don't call them fiber, even though they are fibers. Things like, if you were to eat collagen, and there's a lot of collagen in like people are eating meat, the gristle part has a lot of collagen, and there's fibrous tissue in there that you don't digest, but then bacteria do. Um, so fiber is generally only called fiber when it's a carbohydrate fiber. So these are plants. So the fibers come from plants, and anything that has is a whole plant source is going to have fiber. So whole wheat has fiber, whole rice has fiber. If it's brown rice, it has fiber. But what they do when they process things is they take the fiber out, and that's part of the problem is not so much that it's starchy, but that there's no more fiber in it, because there's several things that fiber does that are really important for digestion even before they get to the colon and grow the good bacteria. So fiber slows down the absorption or the digestion and absorption of the carbohydrates in the food. So if you're eating like pure carbs, if you're just eating potato starch or cornstarch, that in your saliva is already being broken down into sugar. So by the time it gets to your stomach, it's pure sugar. But if you have fiber in there, it's being broken down more slowly. And so you're not getting a rush of a bunch of sugar. It's not like drinking a glucose drink or something like that. So the fiber helps right at the very beginning to slow down all that carbohydrate. Why is that important? Well, if you have heart disease, one of the issues is we talk about cholesterol, for example. It's not just cholesterol, but we're going to use that as a marker because that's what's everybody knows. So that's why I'm going to use it. And that is the cholesterol is a marker for growth hormones that are causing growths to happen and cause inflammation. And so these inflammatory things are happening from high insulin and using glucose. Insulin tells your body, don't use fat for energy, use glucose. So if you're using glucose, you're making more oxygen-free radicals and causing more inflammation than if you're using fat for energy. And so the ideal, apparently, the ideal is to use about 60% of your energy from fat and 40% from carbohydrates or glucose or sugar. And what happens with high insulin is you cut that down, and so you're only using like 40% fat and 60% glucose or sugar. Well, that gives you two problems. One, you're creating a lot more inflammation because it's a high octane fuel. So you're making a lot more oxygen-free radicals with that. And number two, it's inconsistent. Fat is like a constant. You always have it. Everybody has fat. It's always there, and you have this. It's a continuous and constant and reliable. Whereas sugar is all over the map. Your sugar, if you measure your sugar, if anyone has a continuous glucose monitor, man, you'll see that your sugar, it's up to 150, down to 35, 50, 80, 70, and it's an inconsistent form of energy. And so what happens is cells, when you eat it and it goes up, then you make a lot of insulin, and insulin tells the cells, bring more sugar in, and then they bring more sugar in, and then the cells have all this sugar and they store it, and so they use it a little bit at a time. But if you use it all up, it's still inconsistent. So the fat is a more consistent source as well. So you don't want high insulin. Insulin is a problem all by itself because it blocks you from using fat for energy. That's why having a source of fiber, it helps to even out those sugar highs. Now, number two, one of the other things that fiber does is it holds on to bile acids. Bile acids are the things that come out of your liver that help dissolve or solubilize fats, so that you can absorb the fats and they can get into your blood. But the fiber will hold on to those so that you don't reabsorb all those extra bile acids. Why is that important? Because secondary bile acids cause gallbladder problems. They cause gallstones. And if you're recycling those bile acids, then your liver's not making it, and all the LDL goes out into your body. So it actually manages your cholesterol better to have a high fiber diet. And then the third, and one of the most important things, is that fiber feeds the good bacteria. The types of bacteria that feed on fiber are the types that get rid of inflammation. So they lower inflammation, and that helps heart disease too. So we have three really big things that fiber helps with heart disease.
I'm taking my notes here. I hope you guys are too. One thing that I just want to ask, because I think people always want to know what foods they should eat. What are high fiber foods? Maybe tell us what some of your favorites are, or what you like to incorporate into your diet. Are you someone who likes to buy the fiber supplements, or do you use food to get your fiber?
I use food. I almost exclusively. I do have fiber greens, and when I make a smoothie, I put fiber greens in there so that I have fiber with my smoothie. But the smoothie already has a lot of fiber in it from berries. Berries are really good with fiber. Fruit has a lot of fiber. And what's really interesting is most vegetables don't have a lot of fiber. If you think of like, oh, I had a big salad today, and that's a lot of fiber. You know what? An entire dinner plate, 10-inch dinner plate of salad, loaded with salad, is about 4 grams of fiber. And you need 40 a day. That's 10 plates of salad in a day to get the amount of fiber you want. So think about that. Not very much. You can get twice that much, between 8 and 9 grams of fiber in one avocado. So avocado is a great source of fiber, and doesn't have a lot of glucose in it either. But other fruits also. Most fruits are pretty good with fiber. So things like oranges and apples are about 4 grams each, depending on the size, of course. Pears are better. Pears are about 5 grams each. Avocados, I already said it, are better. And then you get a lot of fiber from like dried fruits. If people that eat apricots, I'm sorry. I was corrected the other day. One of my patients says there are no apes in apricot trees.
Oh my goodness. That's funny.
So like something like dried fruit. So apricots, the dried apricots, because you're eating like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 of them, right? You're eating a lot of them. Whereas if you were eating whole, complete fresh apricots, then you would eat, I don't know, 1 or 2, right? So just because you're getting more of them, you're getting more fiber. But all fruits and vegetables contain fiber. Now, the best source of fiber is beans.
Mm.
And if you look at the blue zones, the people that did the blue zones study, they looked at what people in these areas of the world where they have a large number of centenarians who are healthy centenarians, not like in a nursing home in bed centenarians. These are people who are over 100 years old who are still working. They're still doing stuff. So, and they looked at them, at what they were eating. And one of the things that was very consistent was beans. And so the beans are different kinds. In some places it's pinto beans, other places it's red beans, other places it's black beans, other places it's garbanzo beans. So depending on where they are, there's a lot of fiber. Okay, so here you have black beans. With 1 cup of black beans, 1 serving is 15 grams of fiber. Now, compare that to an apple where you're getting 4 grams.
Yeah.
And a banana is only 3.5 grams.
I know.
So,
look at that.
Raspberries. Berries are good for fiber, and they don't have a lot of sugar either. So berries are just generally good to have.
I'm just scrolling through this because it's kind of interesting to me. Chia seeds, for example.
Okay, so chia seeds are awesome. And it's a great way to add fiber. So instead of using buying a fiber supplement, if you want to supplement, using chia seeds is great because you get 2 great healthy heart benefits. One is the fiber. The other is the omega-3. You get actually more omega-3 than omega-6. So it's a good source of omega-3. Broccoli's good, 5 grams, 4 grams. So you look at this, you see an apple with 4 grams. You look at this and you see, hey, the avocado usually has more than that. Anyway, so you see how the beans, a serving of beans, you're looking at 15 grams of fiber. Lentils, same thing, 15 grams of fiber. The fiber in your diet, think about, how are you going to get 40 grams a day? And if you think about, if you're eating white rice, you're getting 0 to 1 gram of fiber. White bread, you're getting very little fiber, 0 to 1. Cereals, most cereals, if it's not a high fiber cereal, it's probably 1 or 2 grams of fiber. So think of all that you eat in a day. If you're eating meat, there's no fiber in that. If you're eating cheese, there's no fiber in that. And so you have pizza, and what do you have? White flour and cheese and maybe meat on top or whatever. And if there's vegetables on there, there's a sprinkling of vegetables that have, you're not talking about a plate of salad where you get 4 grams of fiber. So it's still going to be less than 1 gram of fiber with even a vegetable pizza. So it's hard in our society. And that's what I found when I did that for a year. It's hard in our society to get 40 grams of fiber. But it is a healthy heart thing. And that's why we put it at front and center in the Healthy Heart Solution Kit, is to improve that diet. If that's the only improvement you make, that's great. But remember, the omega-3s are really important. We talked about that in a previous one too. So the ideal kind of diet is a high fiber sort of pescatarian diet.
Is fiber difficult for some people? I mean, is it something that 40 grams of fiber is a lot. And so is that something you can just jump into one day, or do we need to do that slowly, or
No, you don't need to do it slowly. Actually, research has been done on this, and it's incredible that how fast things change. So when they took people that were on a high fiber diet and they took them off and did a carnivore diet, their bacteria changed in a day. It was like fast. And then the other side, the other group of people did the carnivore, and they switched to a vegan diet, super high fiber diet. Their bacteria changed fast. It was like, it's fast. So it's really not a problem. Your bacteria, with the types of bacteria you're growing, they're already there. There's just fewer of them. And so, there's a little bit of this Akkermansia and a whole lot of what was the other one? Anyway, E. coli, Escherichia, and then you switch your diet and it goes the other way. But they're always there. They're just changing how much is in there depending on how much food you're feeding them. So you're feeding those bacteria, and most people tolerate it well. Some people have intestinal bacteria in their small intestine, and so high fiber diets cause them to get gas and bloating, and so they don't tolerate high fiber diets because of the bacteria in their small intestine. That's called SIBO, SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth. And it's not normal, and it's a problem, and that should be treated if that's what you have, and not by just going on a no fiber diet. You should actually get rid of that bacteria, because if there's bacteria in your small intestine, then you're not digesting and absorbing your food well.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen here again, and I'm just wondering if you can chat with us a little bit about fiber greens and why this might be something of interest to us. Now, I know that we primarily recommend that you get your fiber through food, but why might someone be interested in this?
Okay, because it's hard to get 40 grams of fiber a day, and so we recommend 40 grams of fiber a day. And for some people, that's really difficult. But there are people who eat 100 grams of fiber a day, so it's not impossible by any means. You just have to add more beans and have fruit and vegetables. And the way I did it when I was doing high fiber, when I was measuring and looking at how to get 40 grams of fiber a day, I found that I couldn't afford to eat anything that didn't have fiber. So if I was offered something like ice cream, no, it doesn't have any fiber, can't eat that. White bread, even sourdough bread, my favorite, I was like, no fiber, can't eat that. I can only eat things that have fiber, because if I didn't, then I wouldn't get enough. So fiber greens, why do we do that? Well, because of that, because it's that difficult. And the reason we formulated this was because the ones that we found out there were like, they're single, one thing. They have just psyllium seed or just a or orange fiber, or wherever they get their fiber from. It's just a waste product of something else, that the fiber is taken out and sold as a fiber supplement, one thing. And so there's like a wheat fiber supplement called Benefiber. But they're just that one fiber. And that's not what you need. The evidence shows that you need a broad spectrum. So what we did in this is we put like greens in there. And you can see the dried greens. So we've got fiber from a lot of different sources, and they're whole sources instead of just one type. And that's why we made this as opposed to the single type of fiber. So it's a better option than just the psyllium seed or just the Benefiber or whatever.
All right. And it looks like it's funny. Monty is asking all the questions, or asking questions, and then we address each of them without even realizing it. But he said, if you're really not a fan of vegetables and greens, can we get our needs from fiber greens? I eat salads, but I can augment it with fiber greens and get my daily needs.
Yeah. And that's what I do too. When I make a smoothie, I'm throwing, bananas and berries and greens and stuff in there, but I also put the fiber greens in, and that's actually, don't tell anybody I said this, but I like it just that adds a little bit of sweetness to it because, gosh, I'm a sweet guy.
It is good. And that isn't necessarily recommended for people if you're doing the diabetes solution kit. We don't recommend that you do that in phase 1, especially just to kind of, see how you tolerate sweet things. And but if you are okay, if your blood sugars are okay, this is something you could definitely try. You can find that at bartonnutrition.com and use code webinar25. You'll save 25% on that. You can also get the Healthy Heart Solution Kit there as well. Now you can get that hard copy like this. It costs just a little bit more, but if you want the digital version, you can have that. You just download it today for under $20. So lots of good information, recipes that we share, some healthy recipes that include fiber are in their meal plan. We talk about stress, we talk about exercise, just a lot of really good stuff. So really, really important. That's what we primarily focus on this webinar is our Healthy Heart Solution Kit. So again, bartonnutrition.com or bartonwebinar.com. You can use either of those, but use code, I'm typing and talking, webinar 25 to save 25%. And I will post that in the chat. All right, let's get into some of these questions here. Aubrey says, Dr. Gundry says beans have too many lectins. What do you think?
Okay, that is a really interesting controversy because if you look under diet controversies, this has been around for hundreds of years. There's nothing new under the sun as far as diet goes. So look at beans and look around the world and what the longest lived people eat. And you'll find beans. You'll always find beans. And that's, do beans have lectins? Absolutely. If you take just a handful of raw red beans and you eat them, you could die from the lectins. They're poisonous. And what the lectins do is they bind to your small intestine and prevent the intestine from repairing. And you can get leaky gut problems and all kinds of things from those lectins. And so absolutely. So then what's the issue? Why do people eat beans? Well, they're so healthy for you. They have so much fiber. They have the good kind of carbohydrates. They have great protein. But what about the lectins? Well, if you soak your beans overnight and then you pour off the water, and then you cook them properly, then by the time they're cooked, the lectins are slim to none. And then at that point, with those little bit of lectins, the lectins in large amounts are poisonous, but toxicity is a matter of amount for everything. You can get toxic on water from drinking too much water. And you could be non-toxic on mercury with small amounts of mercury. So even things that are super toxic, there's a level at which it's not toxic. The most toxic thing we know of is called botulinum toxin, and the other name for it is Botox. And people are getting injected with it every day, all the time, and yet there's nothing more toxic, more deadly than Botox. So how is that happening? Well, because they're giving tiny amounts that just paralyze those muscles where they're injecting. And that's how it's toxic, is it's paralysis. So yes, lectins are toxic at the dose if you eat the raw red beans, but if you cook them, guess what happens? The lectins are mostly gone. And then in the very low amounts, lectins are a signal. They signal your intestines to tell you what is in there so that you can prepare so that your body can make the right enzymes the enzymes to digest, and then the other receptors to absorb the nutrients that you're getting from those beans. And so there's the signaling process that goes on that is really an important part of digestion and absorption. So yes, there are lectins, but that's a good thing once you cook your beans properly.
Is it the cooking or the soaking that reduces the lectins? That's what Ronnie is
But,
asking.
but both.
Okay.
Both. But you know what? If you look at canned beans have very low levels of lectins. They don't soak canned beans. They put them in raw, and they put and then they can them, and then they cook them. But they use a pretty high heat in beans, so you know it's under pressure. Whereas if you're cooking them on a stovetop, it's lower heat, so better to soak them.
Okay. All right. More questions. Aubrey said my triglycerides are always high. What are some ways to reduce triglycerides?
Oh, that's a great question because we were talking about fiber.
Mhm.
Fiber is an excellent way to reduce triglycerides. Okay, so why are triglycerides high? The triglycerides are the fats that you burn for energy. And remember, we want you to have, or we want you, or you should, ideally, you should have 60% of your energy of all your cells in your body should be fat burning and 40% glucose burning. Well, what happens when you have insulin resistance is that the insulin prevents you from using fat for energy. So you have, lower levels of fat burning and higher levels of glucose. Well, when you're burning less fat, where does all that fat go? Your liver, also insulin is telling your liver to make sugar into fat. So now you're going to have high levels of triglycerides in your blood from insulin resistance. So if your triglycerides are high, first thing to do is check your insulin to see if you have insulin resistance. And the way to do that was 4 tests. You look at C-peptide, which is the long-term insulin. And then you look at insulin, then you look at glucose, which is the short term, and then hemoglobin A1C, which is the long term. So those 4 tests will tell you about how your insulin resistance is.
And I will post those in the chat. Okay, Iman says I was in the hospital for 12 days in Brazil, 9 in the ICU with pneumonia and sepsis. I'm good now, back working, doing physio and long walks with the dog. Cardiologist said I had AFib during the stay, so now taking Xarelto and amiodarone until follow-up. Any comments is safe. My O2 was 70%, now it's 97%. My blood sugar is okay. CAT scan good.
Okay, so interesting that with pneumonia that there would be atrial fibrillation. So usually that kind of thing is short-lived, and you can check to see if you have atrial fibrillation anytime. Just feel your pulse, and if you can find a regular pulse, it's not atrial fibrillation. But if it's beating boom, 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 that they're really irregular, like no 2 beats are on a regular basis, then you have atrial fibrillation, and you can just feel that, whatever, or listen to your heart or whatever. Or if you get a pulse oximeter, you can see it, so that it shows you the beating heart. You can see the irregularity of it. So if it's irregular, then it's a good idea to have the anticoagulation until follow-up. That's a good idea. But it may be that indicates that your heart is lacking energy. And so you still want to increase the energy of the heart. And the way you do that, the physiotherapy you're doing is great, and walking, great. Increase your walking until you can jog, and then increase that until you can run. And if you can get a 10-minute mile in, that's great. That working up to that is a good idea. And then with the exercise, making sure you get the nutrients and they're in the book. It's those 4 nutrients for increasing the energy of the heart: L-carnitine, D-ribose, coenzyme Q10, and magnesium, because those are common deficiencies. They're all necessary, absolutely essential for the mitochondria to make energy.
Okay, more questions about beans. Are canned beans just as healthy as soaked and cooked beans?
Um, Technically, yes, I suppose, because they're all cooked. But they do lose nutrient value over time, even though they're in a can. It's they're not getting oxidized, but the interactions that are in there in the can are changing things. So you have a date on the can, best by, and best if used by this date, and that's part of that is the nutrient. So personally, I do use canned beans sometimes, but I have big bags of beans at home, black beans. When I used to live in Venezuela, and we just lived on black beans, and I loved them. So,
You too.
so that's what I have.
Okay, there was another question. Oh, Ronnie said that I've been using my pressure cooker to cook the beans. All
Oh,
right.
see that gets rid of lectins too. That's a good way to do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so Anku joined a little bit late. He just wanted to know if we could do a quick overview of fiber greens again and why we may want to use that.
Okay, so if you're not getting enough fiber, if you can't get 40 grams a day, because some people say, I don't eat that much food. It's just too much food to take in. And if you think about, eating a carrot, you have to eat like 2 pounds of carrots to get 40 grams of fiber. My wife came to that conclusion. She says, I know why people never get fat on a vegan diet. Because you get tired of eating vegetables before you can get enough to get fat on. You just get tired of eating. Anyway, so because it's a lot of food, like I said, 10 plates of salad would equal 40 grams. That we had the fiber greens as a supplement that you can add on to bring up your level to 40 grams.
All right, let's see if we have any other questions here that I might have missed. I think that is it. Anything else that we want to add today, Dr. Saunders? Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, so the black-eyed peas are good. They're a great source of beans, and they have really good protein and really good fiber. And I approve of beans for diabetics. And if someone is diabetic and has heart disease, beans are still a good source, a good meal. But if you're on phase 1, you still count the carbohydrates in the beans as your 20 gram max. So you can eat the beans, but just remember that counts.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. This was a wonderful webinar. Thank you, Dr. Saunders. Have a very happy new year. We'll see you in 2024.
All right. Great.
All right. We'll see you.
See you.
Those of you hanging out, green beans, same thing too. It kind of depends if you're looking for, green beans are a low carb bean actually. So if you're counting your carbs, that's an option still. And I'd be curious to know what Dr. Saunders thinks about green beans. So we may have to ask him on the next webinar. But next week, guys, next Wednesday, we will have our diabetes reversal webinar. And then next Thursday, we'll have the same webinar that you guys are on. So these are both free webinars. You can let your friends know who maybe would benefit from the information that we share. Find more information at bartonwebinar.com. You can register there for free. And this is awesome. We've been doing, I want to say we're close to 30 webinars, maybe. I should actually look. 30 webinars for the Healthy Heart webinar, and we are over 200 for the diabetes reversal. So we've been around for a while doing this, and I'm going to double check. I want to see which webinar this is. Oh my goodness, Leslie, this is episode number 36. No, 35. This is 35. Time's going quickly. Okay, episode 35 here, and we have done 223 episodes concerning type 2 diabetes. So lots of good information. We'd love for you to share this. So tell a friend, send them to bartonwebinar.com, and I'll see you all next week. Have a great New Year's Eve. I'm excited for 2024, and I'm excited to learn and grow with each of you. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.